In 100 Tactical Patterns You Must Know, I offer a unique perspective. While presenting a diverse array of tactical themes, I focus not only on general positional features like undefended pieces or an exposed king, but also on the specific arrangement of chess pieces, a crucial factor in executing successful tactics. Focusing on typical piece configurations allows you to evaluate and decide more quickly and efficiently in certain positions. Pattern 1. Increasing pawn tension for a pivotal pawn fork. As if the tension between the central pawns isn't big enough, black increases the pressure on the pawn cluster with a third pawn. The idea is to lure away the white pawn on d4, allowing black to advance the d5 pawn with a fork. You have 5 seconds to solve. It's the same ideas of the previous example. You have 5 seconds to solve. Why the d pawn take a5 is mistake, because the bishop has an escape square with check and you obliged to move your king, then your opponent can escape with the knight. Why king on h1 is also a mistake, because we must defend the rook on e1, preventing pins with rook on e8. Although black has saved his bishop, since the knight on f6 is tied to the knight on d7, black still loses a piece. This is what Stockfish 16 suggests in this position. White has 2.1 advantage. You have 5 seconds to solve. This is what Stockfish 16 suggests in this position. White has 4.1 advantage. Another way to capitalize on two pieces positioned within a pawn's forking distance is by releasing the tension. Here, there is a telling example where this method proves successful. Compared to the first diagram, the black bishop now has more space. The bishop is lured to e5 with d take e5. f4 doesn't work anymore. As knight takes e4 and f take e5, the bishop is not trapped. You have 5 seconds to solve. Try to solve this puzzle. Pattern 3. An anti-positional capture to fork or trap a piece. Having observed in the previous two patterns that two pawns were used to eventually deliver a pawn fork, in this pattern we will see an anti-positional capture precede a single pawn delivering a pawn fork or trapping a piece. White first lures the bishop to an unfavourable square, after which they win a piece. Try to solve this puzzle. White, a strong grandmaster who played for the FIDE World Championship against Anatoly Karpov in 1996, has just made a misstep with the seemingly logical the e2 knight on d4. It is a type of mistake that frequently occurs in tournament play, partly because the refutation is so unnatural. Try to solve this puzzle. Similar to the previous game, this trick claims many victims in this position as well, including several grandmasters. After knight on e6, e4 traps the d5 bishop, while after knight on f5, e4 forks the black pieces, possibly preceded by an exchange on d5. The game continued with bishop on e6 and e takes d4, and although he was a piece ahead, white failed to win. Try to solve this puzzle. In the previous two games, besides a pawn fork, trapping also played a role in winning a piece. I decided to discuss the trick in this section as the preparatory work. The final execution of the fork seamlessly aligns with pattern 2. Nevertheless, the approach slightly deviates from that seen in pattern 2. In this case, it is a single pawn that efficiently manages both. As an additional insight, I would like to delve a bit deeper into this phenomenon. d6. The pawn forces the bishop to the unfavorable e3 square, where it will be on a pawn's forking distance with the knight on c3. Try to solve this puzzle. Another illustrative case of targeting can be seen in the following example: e5, attacking the bishop and simultaneously threatening e4 with a pawn fork. The game continued with bishop takes h6 and g take h6, and black won quickly. Pattern 4. Sacrificing the rook for a bishop fork. In the previous patterns, we saw the capture of a knight by a bishop preceding a fork. In this pattern, a capture by a bishop marks the culmination of the tactic by means of a fork, specifically a bishop fork. Once again, we lure an opponent's piece, rook or king, to a sensitive square, this time with the help of a rook sacrifice. Although one could argue for breaking down this pattern into segments similar to the pawn fork, I have chosen to present it in one pattern here, because the preparatory work, luring by means of a sacrifice, and the end goal, a bishop fork, remain consistent throughout. Consider it an added bonus. In the first two examples, we see the enemy rook being lured, after which the bishop forks that same rook and the king along two diagonals. White lures the black rook to a8 with rook a8. Then rook takes on a8 and bishop takes on d5, forking the rook and the king along two diagonals. Try to solve this puzzle. Not only is the rook lured to the corner, but it also has to abandon the protection of the knight. White resigned because rook takes on a1 and bishop takes on d4 with check, then king moved to f1 and bishop take on a1, he would be a piece behind. Here, we will see the same trick as in the previous example, but with some extra preparation. This seems to win on the spot, as it is checkmate. If queen went to f8, we have bishop takes on d5 with check, king to h8, rook take on f8, with checkmate. That's why queen on e8 is the only move. Finally, those are last three examples of the fourth pattern. It's always the same idea. Those were four powerful patterns that showed just how dangerous double attacks can be when executed with precision. From building pawn tension to sacrificing a rook for a killer fork, these ideas are what separate casual players from dangerous tacticians. Mastering these ideas won't just help you win more games. It will help you see the hidden opportunities in complex positions. But we are not done yet. In the next video, we'll explore even more dramatic patterns, like a queen sacrifice in the corner leading to a knight fork, a queen striking both the king and a loose piece, and queen side castling that sets up a devastating double threat. That video will wrap up Chapter 1. Double attack from this amazing book, so don't miss it. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comments which tactic you're excited to try in your next game. Thanks for watching. And remember, every tactic starts with a spark of imagination.